Yes, I will.
See where mine's
Yeah, we have a lot of it. Nobody signed up. Yeah, nobody signed up. I like that part.
Well, that's a good thing.
Good evening, everyone.
Questions?
It is Monday, the 18th of April. It is time to begin the Liquor Commission hearing. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel,
Here.
Commissioner Papantos,
Present.
Commissioner Vito,
Here.
Commissioner Lang,
Here.
Commissioner Kruger is absent with prior notice, Commissioner Rafato,
Here.
Chairperson Horker.
Here. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of March 7th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Papantos. Commissioner Papantos, second.
Second.
Commissioner Rafato, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Rafato,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Citizen concerns or comments? Clerk Brady?
None tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Svandillis, what do we have? Clerk Brady.
Oh, the 6A, Annual Renewal of Liquor License 2022 to 2023.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Svandillis.
Thank you. This evening, we are asking the Commission to authorize the renewal of existing liquor licenses within the village with 4 conditions, which is applicable to all licensees. First, the submittal in good order of all application materials. Second, the satisfactory background check results for all responsible parties. Third, the payment of any outstanding food and beverage tax. And finally, fourth, the payment of all applicable liquor licenses.
Questions or comments? If we have none.
Question.
Sir.
The list, and I was a bit confused on the liquor list, Tuscany is still on there.
They are on there. They still have an active list. And we kept them on there just in case Stefani wanted to do anything. But our assumption, and there are a couple of these businesses in this situation, our assumption is that they simply won't follow up with the 4 conditions, and then we will officially take them off the list.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rafato.
Thank you.
Make a motion then?
Yes, make a motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Rafato moves. Second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, roll call. Clerk Brady.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos.
Yes.
Commissioner Vito.
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Rafato.
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
6B, consideration of a request for Moe's Cantina, Inc. at 31-33 North Elmhurst Road to convert current Class 9-V, N-V, liquor license to a Class B-V liquor license.
Mr. Svandillis, Moe's Café.
Thank you. This is an existing business within our community who does currently have a liquor license with us. This is a change to their liquor license in order to allow video gaming. In order to comply with all the applicable rules, they will be doing some interior changes to their layout, which staff received late this afternoon, but that's a matter for staff to work through with the petitioner, and we will do that through our Community Development Department. Other than that, I would ask, and the petitioner is here this evening, I would ask, following the answer to any questions, that any motion be made conditionally upon 1, the submittal of an updated floor plan that is approved, 2, approval by the Board of Trustees of any associated parking variation determined to be necessary, 3rd, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class BV liquor license, 4, satisfactory background check results for all responsible parties, and finally, the payment of all applicable liquor licenses. I believe the petitioner is here. Should there be any questions?
We do have a question from Commissioner Papantos. If the petitioner could come forward.
I have a question, but it's more for staff. Manager Svandillis, this is a change from a video gaming cafe to a small restaurant, correct?
Yes.
It's
I'm sorry, yes, it is.
Yeah, so their liquor license.
That's correct.
But had you
To a
been
class.
open as a video?
We are still under construction.
And are you, do you have your license from the state for video
Yes, we
gaming
do.
at this point?
We've had it since last year.
Thank you.
Is that all?
Tell you in a minute. Is that all? Looks good. If there are no other questions.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Vogel, second.
Second?
Commissioner Papantos, roll call, please.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
No.
okay. Commissioner Rufato,
No.
Commissioner Vogel,
No.
and Chairperson Horker.
Yes. What do we got? I think that's a tie.
1, 2, yep.
Fails. It does fail. That leaves them as then
NV?
NV. Okay. Sorry. Clerk Brady, item D, or C.
C, 6C, consideration of a request for More Foods LLC doing business as Vasilki Restaurants at 250-252 McHenry Road to convert a current Class A liquor license to a Class B liquor license.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. This request actually comes through staff, which is meant to appropriately designate the restaurant as a Class B versus a Class A. That is based on the number of seats inside of the restaurant. Effectively, it changes nothing other than putting them in the appropriate license class.
Questions or comments? To my left, to my right? There are no questions or comments. Motion to approve.
So move.
Commissioner Lang, I need a second.
Second?
Commissioner Papantos, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Rufato,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos.
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
6D, consideration of a request for XO Restaurant and Banquet Hall, Inc. at 1057-1063 Lake Cook Road for a supplemental Class D-4 liquor license.
Mr. Spondilis, what do we have?
Thank you. The petitioner currently has a Class B liquor license, which is a small restaurant. They are asking for a Class D4, which would allow the sale of packaged liquor. This actually follows one of the items that the board granted all restaurants during the pandemic, which was the ability to sell packaged liquor as part of their existing liquor license. They found that to be favorable to their business and are simply asking to be able to continue to do that. Again, the D4 simply allows them to sell packaged liquor. And I would ask that any motion come with the condition that an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class D4 license is made.
Questions or comments from the commission? Right, left, no questions or comments. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Papantos, second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Lang. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Rufato,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
6E, consideration of a request for a Class I liquor license for the Village of Wheeling for an event to be held on June 25th, 2022.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. On behalf of the community, staff is asking for consideration of this liquor license for the annual Rock and Run the Runway celebration, which is held at Chicago Executive Airport. This year it will be held on Saturday, June 25th. I would ask that any motion be made conditioned upon first the submittal of a certificate of liquor liability insurance, which our finance department is obtaining, and second, the submittal of Bassett certificates from all applicable individuals, which we can get from our vendor, who again will be Spears, representing to be our servers at the event.
Questions or comments from the commission? Right or left? None. Need a motion for approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Rufato,
Second.
Commissioner Vogel, Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Commissioner Rufato,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos,
Yes.
Commissioner Vito,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. That concludes the regularly scheduled meeting for the Liquor Commission for the evening. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Commissioner Rufato, second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned for the Liquor Commission. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village Board for Monday, April 18th, 2022. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel,
Here.
Trustee Papantos,
Present.
Trustee Vito,
Here.
Trustee Lang,
Here.
Trustee Kruger is absent with a prior notice. Trustee Rufato.
Here.
President Horker.
Here. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of April 4th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Clerk Brady, we have some proclamations.
Yes. National Volunteer Week, April 17th through the 23rd, 2022. Whereas the Village of Wheeling is proud of its volunteers who not only serve the community with pride and commitment, but also help to make sure that the community is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. And the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes the world. And volunteers can connect with local community serves opportunities through hundreds of community service organizations. And individuals and communities are at the center of the social change, discovering their power to make a difference. And during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognize for their commitment to the serve and the giving of oneself in service to another empowers both the giver and the recipient. And experience teaches us that governmental by itself cannot solve all of our nation's social problems. And our country's volunteer force of over 63 million is a great treasure. And volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive community and nation. Patrick Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim April 17th through the 23rd as National Volunteer Week in Wheeling, and urges fellow citizens to volunteer in their respective communities, since by volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can come together to make a difference.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. I also have a proclamation recognizing Municipal Clerks Week, which will be May 1st through May 7th. And I will read this since it would be silly for me to have you read a proclamation to yourself. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and the office of municipal clerk is historically recorded as the oldest among public servants, and the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between citizens, local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and municipal clerks pledge to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And the municipal clerk serves as the information center for community concerns and on functions of local government. And municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organisms. and it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Therefore, I, Patrick Corker, President of the Village of Wheeling, do hereby recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022, as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to Village Clerk Catherine M. Brady, Deputy Clerk Karen Hannaberry, Wheeling's Township Clerk Joanna Gauza, and Cook County Clerk Karen A. Yarborough for their service to the residents of Wheeling, as well as to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and for their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. So sincerely thank you to all of the clerks for all of the work you do. Clerk Brady, citizens' concerns and comments.
None today.
Okey-doke. So that brings us to the consent agenda. No, I'm sorry. Staff reports. Mr. Kaup.
Thank you, President.
What have we got?
I was just going to remind the board and the public that we have our upcoming annual Arbor Day celebration. This year's event is going to take place Wednesday, April 27th at Tarkington Elementary School, 310 Scott Street at 10 a.m. The agenda will include a student and faculty presentation on the value of trees in our community, as well as planting of our annual Arbor Day tree. Both the public and senior staff, as well as elected officials, are all welcome. If you plan to attend, please let me know, and I'll have you put onto the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kaup. Now, Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board member or citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, a resolution establishing compensation plan for the Village of Wheeling for the period of May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2023. 11B is resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving a contract with Water Well Solutions to provide inspection and rehabilitation services for well number 7 in the amount not to exceed $250,000 in fiscal year 2022. 11C, resolution approving a supplement resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code and contract with Builder Paving LLC for the motor fuel tax MFT street improvement program in the amount of $1,568,000 in fiscal year 2022. Okay. 11D, resolution approving an agreement with Civitech Engineering, Inc. to provide construction engineering inspections for the 2022 MFT street improvement program in the amount not to exceed $126,107. 11E, resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code, Phase 1 and 2 Chadwick Drive improvements. 11F, resolution approving an engineering service agreement with Chastain and Associates LLC for the Phase 1 and 2 Chadwick Drive improvements in the amount of $19,987.20 in fiscal year 2022. 11G, resolution approving change order number 1 and final in the amount of $13,020 and an increase to the final contract amount with Longos Corp. From $119,500 to $132,520. 11H, resolution accepting a bid and approving a not to exceed contract in the amount of $114,900 with Cahill Heating and Air Conditioning Services, Inc., for the 2022 HVAC Unit Replacement Program. 11I, resolution accepting and approving a contract for DCG Roofing Solutions, Inc., for the 2022 Roof Replacement Program in amount not to exceed $450,987.39 in the fiscal year 2022. 11J, authorizing the village manager to waive a portion of the 2022-2023 video game terminal fee for Philip Carpenter Post 66 and Vet Building Corporation, a non-for-profit entity. 11K, resolution waiving the fidelity and sterility bond requirements for Wing of an Angel to conduct a raffle event 1 year from April 19, 2022 through April 18, 2023.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Any questions or comments? If there are none, we need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, second Trustee Vogel. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. New business.
13A. Do we have to open this, or should I read it first?
You can read it.
Okay. Public hearing, request for Cook County Class 6B property tax abatement for the property at 742 Glen Avenue. Applicant, Aargus Plastics, Inc.
All right, these are technical things, and so I will be reading them verbatim as I've been instructed, or as is the proper way. To turn my page. This is a public hearing for the public to make comments regarding the request for a Class 6B real estate tax assessment for 742 Glen Avenue. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Herald. Each member of the public shall have 5 minutes to make their comments. During this time, staff and the board will not answer questions. Comments should not be repetitive or argumentative. Are there any comments from the public? Okey-doke. As there are no comments from the public, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee Rufato. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
13B, resolution authorizing consenting to a Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification for the real property located at 742 Glen Avenue in the village of Wheeling, Illinois.
And C?
13C, resolution approving a Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification incentive agreement with Aargus Plastics, Inc. for the real property located at 742 Glen Avenue in Wheeling, Illinois.
Mr. Ainsworth, what have you brought us?
Thank you, President Horker. Aargus Plastics, which is a Wheeling-based business at 540 Allendale, is proposing to purchase this property. They're under contract right now for the subject address of 742 Glen Avenue. This was formerly occupied by Tamagawa USA, which vacated the premises on March of 2021. And it's about a 120,000 square foot facility. Aargus Plastics is looking to expand their operations from their existing location into this one, approximately about 50,000 of that 120,000 square feet. And they are a manufacturer of plastic plastic products such as plastic bags. They have large companies they work for, such as Target, Home Depot, et cetera. And as this property is, as this building, as this company is an existing business, we've asked them to enter into an incentive agreement, which is, again, item number C. We are asking, because they co-own the property at 199 Shepherd, to not connect this property with that property. There are a number of truck terminal operators that are on the 199 Shepherd that we're asking them, again, to not connect and operate business on this subject property. And they will invest about $500,000 into this space. They will probably subdivide this. We are asking them to make sure they internally subdivide per code and meet all business license criteria. And the final thing is the incentive agreement. This is our first incentive agreement. We've seen these before. We've asked a couple properties last year to go a little bit above and beyond what we normally require, as these incentive agreements will get entered between the village and to the applicant and get recorded with the property. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is here to answer any questions you have as well.
Trustee Papantos, you have some questions.
Thank you, and this is for the applicant. You should have known, you've been here often enough.
Mark Rogers from Liston and Santillis.
Jerry Starr, Aargus Plastics, President, CEO.
Thank you. In the memo, it indicates that the applicant and some of the tenants within the building will bring in sales tax revenue. Can you expound on that? Like who and what type of sales tax revenue?
Well, it would probably be mostly from the employees who's utilizing the facilities in Wheeling. We do
But
not-
sales tax revenue is
Yeah.
different than going out and buying lunch and Wheeling. Are you planning to sell something where there's sales tax revenue?
No.
So that's not something that is really part of this 6B?
That's correct.
Sorry. Could you step up to the microphone and identify yourself? Sorry.
I'm with CMI Distribution, also moving into that building as one of the tenants. We are proposing...
But your name is?
Maria Vega,
Hi.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We are proposing that eventually we will have a retail outlet to sell some of our bags that we will be purchasing from the manufacturer, so we will have sales tax.
Okay, and you will be part of that building?
Yes, we will be in that building.
That's what I was trying to...
just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I had.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I would like to read something in the record so it's very clear. Section 3, failure to abide with Section 2 conditions if Aargus Plastic Inc. or its successor in interest fails to comply with the conditions A through N. In Section 2, the village shall have the right to terminate the Cook County Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification by all means, including filing a request with Cook County filing a request with Cook County, filing an action with Cook County court system or any other administrative or legislative means. Aargus Plastic Inc. or its successor shall not object to the termination of the request of the village. That is in the agreement in Section 3. You're clear on all of that?
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Is that, am I reading that wrong, or is that a?
No, it looks like there's an extra word there.
Okay, good, because I thought I was just
It's a Scrivener's error.
Thought I
We'll
needed-
correct that. Yep.
new glasses or something.
Word duplicated.
Awesome.
So moved.
Trustee Lang, second?
This is for B, though, right?
This is for?
B.
This is for B. There's two separate issues here. We are going to do them separately, right, Mr.
Yes,
Rolo?
yes.
Okay, so Trustee Vogel is the second on item B. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Rufato,
Yes.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Now, item C, approving a Class 6B real estate tax assessment classification incentive agreement with Aargus Plastic, Inc. for the real property located at 742 Glen Avenue in Wheeling. Mr. Ainsworth, this is the agreement that, or I suppose I should be asking Mr. Ferrolo, this is the agreement that says he agrees with everything in the previous agreement.
Correct. This is the incentive agreement, similar to a development agreement, where there are obligations of this business owner to comply with, and if he fails to do so, the remedy would be to seek termination of the 6B.
Any questions or comments from the board?
And you are in agreement with the incentive agreement? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We need a motion for approval.
So
then.
moved again.
Trustee
Second.
Lang, second trustee Papantos. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, thank you for staying in town, sir.
Thank you very much.
13D, resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 budget for Chicago Executive Airport.
Good evening, President Horker and trustees. Before Jeff and Jason present the budget tonight, I just wanted to offer a quick reminder that on Wednesday night at our board meeting, we are dedicating our conference room to the late Mayor Helmer from Prospect Heights. In a show of partnership, we would love to have all of you there. We feel that the dedication of our conference room is most appropriate to recognize the late mayor's contributions to both our organization and to the communities. So look forward to seeing all of you out there on Wednesday night.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Griffith, you'll be making a presentation here.
Mr. Griffiths, well, Jeffrey Miller, your airport director. So I just want to step in real quick and say thank you. This is my first budget cycle here, both with Wheeling and Prospect Heights. I was excited when I heard springtime, but apparently that's not when we're doing our budget according out the window. So Jason will go through the presentation here briefly, and I will be here with Jason as well for any questions. So thank you.
Thank you. Jason Griffith, Director of Finance for Chicago Executive Airport. Control the slides, sir.
You should be able to click.
Just click.
Yeah? Cool.
All righty. All right, fiscal year 2023 budget goals. Maintain financial self-sufficiency, plan for current and future capital costs, and provide the resources to be the best general aviation airport in the country. The timeline of our budget, staff began planning late in 2021 through 2022. The budget was first workshopped by the Board of Directors on February 16th. Budget modifications from the workshop were made. Then the CEA Board of Directors discussed and voted on the fiscal year 2023 budget on March 16th. It was approved last week by the city, and now we're before you tonight. The budgeted net income after reserve fund transfers is just under $76,000 for the year. Budgeted revenues are at $6.1 million. It's a 19.32% increase from last year's budget, $988,837. This increase is driven by long-term lease, increased Jet A fuel flowage fees, and other fee increases. The operating expenses are budgeted to be about $4.4 million. It's an increase of 16.72% from fiscal year 2022. This includes new full-time employees, one on the admin side, one on the maintenance and operations side. Budgeted increases to insurance expenses, budget increases to the new U.S. Customs facility now that it's up and operational, and then property management and accounting software upgrades. The airport has two restrictions on operating cash. The first one is set by the airport business plan. The operating fund should have 3 months worth of budgeted expenses in it. That amount is $1.1 million. This year, the projected cash balance in the operating fund at the end of April 30th, 2023 is $3.5 million, which is sufficient to cover that requirement. The debt covenant from the U.S. Customs bank note requires that we have 180 days worth of budgeted operating expenses. That amount for this year is $2.1 million, $2.2 million. Again, the 3.5 projected cash balance in the operating fund on April 30th, 2023 is sufficient to cover that. The airport has 4 reserve funds, the first one being the sewer reserve fund. That's projected to end with about $468,000 in it at the end of the fiscal year 2023. The Land and Building Reserve Fund is projected to end at a little over $1 million. The Vehicle and Equipment Reserve Fund is projected to have an ending balance of $324,000. That includes a purchase of a new snow broom for winter operations. It's an essential piece of equipment to keep the airport open. The Capital Repair and Demo Fund's our newest fund. We're still growing that one, and that's going to projected to end the year with about $357,000 in it. Capital A projects, the continuation of the RCIP program, phases 1 and 2, the rehabilitation of airfield lighting, the rehabilitation of the Northwest Quadrant Access Road, and the development of the East Quadrant Access Road. Those are both part of the Rebuild Illinois program announced earlier this year. And then the update to the Exhibit A property map. And that concludes our presentation.
Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos.
Be prepared. You weren't here 2 years ago when I asked a very simple question 2 years ago and last year, and I'm going to repeat it this year. The IGA is the governing agreement. The IGA is very specific regarding stipends for the Board of Directors. You've raised it in your budget. You haven't paid more, but you've just automatically said we're going to give them a raise. I thought I was pretty clear 2 years ago when I brought it up. I know I was very clear last year. And this year, not only did you keep it increased, but you raised it even more. I'll be honest, I'm a little insulted by that. You raised it, the budgeted amount is 90% more than what the IGA specifies. I'm all for rewriting the IGA, and certainly the airport can input information regarding what they want, but in the past, I don't think it's ever been done within a year. It's a big project. It is an intergovernmental agreement between Prospect Heights and Wheeling, so there's a lot of things. And there's things I'd like to see go back in the IGA that have been removed. Sorry, and I realize you weren't here, so I'm not blaming you. But I could not let this go by and not air my frustration on it. I've never heard of a budget where we just say what we want and maybe we'll spend it. I mean, if it does change, the budget can be amended, and it would be a little more accurate. I realize budgeting is a forecast, but this one's pretty specific. You don't get too many choices on it. I also had to look through the IGA, and we used to have a stipulation in the IGA that each municipality received $3,000 a year for administrative purposes. But that was removed back in, help me, Jason, 2005? 2013, sorry, 2013. Why are we still budgeting for it, and why are we paying it even worse? And if we're billing it, we're going to stop that? Yes? Thank you. It's the details, and it looks kind of silly if we don't follow it. I do have a question on this year's budget. It appears that we will have a surplus, or you'll have a surplus. What happens to surplus funds?
Surplus funds are in the operating fund, and they're utilized for capital.
So they'll go towards capital? Does it go to a capital fund?
It sits in the operating account for self-funded capital projects that don't fit inside those 4 reserve funds.
Okay. I mean, I was just curious what, we have a policy of what we do with our surplus if we do have one. I mean, obviously you budget to, hopefully a balanced budget. Thank you. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions or comments from? I actually had some questions when going through your document. You have several categories. Do you have it in front of you?
For the reserve funds?
Just in general, specifically, like page 17, conferences, meetings, registration. You have several entries for like meetings and business lunches. Last year budgeted 3,000, spent 356. Next year budgeted 4,000. IPAA Fall Conference. This year budgeted 1,200. Spent 573. Next year budgeted 1,500. Conference registration other, this year budgeted 2,000, spent 133. Next year budgeted 7,500. You have a lot of entries like this where you're budgeting amounts, you're not really spending that much, and then the following year you're budgeting more.
Part of that was we budgeted for conferences this past year, and they didn't necessarily take place with the return to normalcy.
Okay.
And we're also considering increasing the amount of staff that attend conferences for educational purposes.
Chamber of Commerce, $2,000 budgeted, 333 spent, $2,000 budgeted.
That will change. This next check register has checks for the chamber on it at Wednesday's meeting. So with this document, when it was created in February and then March, I wasn't sure. So we are going to end up spending it, but it does not appear in that column for expenses this year.
Right. Another thing about the budget that is sort of related to the numbers, but more related to the document itself. So your fiscal year, you have your own fiscal year. It's May 1 through April 30?
Correct.
Right. So really, we're getting this with no real time for adjustment.
Before it goes into effect?
Yes.
Correct.
That's good planning? I'm sorry, I won't even do that. That's not good planning. I mean, I understand that, you have your fiscal year, and the clock keeps ticking, and there's other things to do besides the budget, but the calendar doesn't change, and you are planning this with no time for adjustment. Your plan shows no time for amendment or repairs or modifications. I really don't see that as sound.
President Horker, can't the budget be amended at any time?
Sorry?
Can't they amend the budget at any time if we find something?
It can,
Yes.
yes, the budget can be amended with the approval of both municipalities.
Trustee Lang, I'm sorry, you wanted to
It
say
is,
something.
to your point, it is, the planning process starts in February, and it.
Staff-wise, December, but yeah.
So it goes through the airport process
Sure.
in that period of time. If you want to have it come to the village before a month prior, then.
It just seems, dangerous? Is that the word? Is that a bad word? I don't know.
Well, you'll be seeing a copy of the budget then before it gets approved. Once it gets approved by the airport board.
It just seems like the whole process
then the village
could be
and the
backed up.
city see the budget.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a.
Well, draft to Chicago executive could simply be backed up.
Yeah, it could be, but do you want a month or so to stew on it then? Once you get the budget, you want to absorb it for a period of time? It can be presented to the board.
I'm looking at issues
and the city
more like,
unofficially.
I understand that, but I'm just looking at it issues more like if there is something that we find in the board to be unfavorable, there's really not, I mean, they can amend the budget, but it would be.
As we spoke about earlier.
Yes.
It's
it does
also
plan kind of tight.
The fact that Prospect Heights sees it one week and Wheeling sees it the next, it's hard to go, if either community has an objection to something it's difficult to go back and make a change.
Yes.
That is just by design of having an IGA with another community.
Oh, yes. I'm certainly not going to, like, hold it up. I'm just stating what I have. It just seems tight planning. And yes, they can always amend their budget. And the bottom line is, as cold as this might sound, as long as they don't cost us any money, I'm pretty much okay with how you're running the show, bonds and stuff aside. So anyway, it's just some observations on my part. Thank you for clearing up the expenses versus actuals. Does anyone else have any comments?
Just one other question on customs. Is customs a balance on the expenses versus the revenue so that the users actually are paying for the expense of the customs building?
Correct. And we didn't adjust the fees this year. We're going to see how, take this fiscal year into consideration and see what the true cost of having that facility open is before we make fee adjustments. But that's, yes, the users of the facility pay for the fees to fully keep it self-funded.
And do we expect an uptick in the number of customs events?
There's a lot of variables. Obviously, as we all know, the world we've been living in lately, unfortunately. We have seen things return to some normalcy. We're usually around 430 clearances. As Jason stated, the facility right now is the busiest for a user fee in the region for Chicago. And so being self-sufficient, being the top of that, we are seeing some return to normalcy, but if there is a lockdown, a good portion of our traffic is from Canada. So if Canada does something with COVID, that could significantly impact it. If things stay the way they are, we anticipate it to continue to grow, but right now it's self-sufficient. Really with the building being open, it's more, do we have to tweak anything to make sure that it remains that way now that we could see the true cost over a year. But I know it's kind of an open-ended, but there is a lot of variables based in there if something happens with another shutdown or something along those lines. But right now we're projecting it to continue to grow over the year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Questions or comments? If we're done beating the horse, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, second. Trustee Vogel, roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
No.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Thank you.
13E, ordinance granting major building appearance approval to 1111 West Dundee Road, YellowBlu Med Spa, docket number 2022-14.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, YellowBlu Med Spa is seeking what is classified as a major site plan approval. I'm sorry, major building appearance approval because they are changing the windows, the doors, the roof, the siding. They're generally taking the existing building at 1111 Dundee and refreshing it all. We have requested the petitioner to add some better dumpster enclosure and to also work with us on some landscaping. So the petitioner is amenable to those, and the Plan Commission did recommend unanimously for approval of this.
Questions? Trustee Papantos?
Just one quick question. Do we know how long that building's been vacant?
I don't believe it's actually.
It's not vacant.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not vacant?
No.
Okay. That's what I was, but you're buying it and then you'll be refurbished?
Yes.
Why don't you come up to the...
Come on up, introduce yourself.
I don't know who I'm talking
Answer the
to.
questions.
Good evening, my name is Jacob Bruce. I'm the contractor, so I apologize for the appearance on my behalf. I came straight from work to make it. The owner did purchase the building. I think there's some tenants still over there that will remain. There's a pediatrician office on the bottom. There's somebody on the top with some office things. So it hasn't been vacant at this point.
Oh, so some of the tenants will stay?
Yes.
Okay, that I didn't understand. Thank you.
Oh. They will be coming up to code with handicap accessible entrances and stuff?
We're working with the petitioner on that right now. They aren't modifying them, so they technically don't have to at this point, but we are working with them that hopefully they will do that in the future.
All right. Questions or comments? If not, motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Lang. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Item F.
13F, ordinance.
Thank you, sir.
Ordinance amending Title V, Health and Sanitation for Wheeling Municipal Code.
This is you, Mr. Ferrolo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we bring you changes to Title V that have been recommended by both the Public Works Department and the Community Development Department. Title V is the village's Health and Sanitation Code. We are recommending changes to 2 chapters. The first is Chapter 5.18, which is Food Service and Retail Food Store Sanitation. Many of these changes are technical, so I'm going to hit the highlights and describe them categorically, and I can answer any questions, and staff is here to answer questions. One predominant change that has been made throughout this chapter, or this title, in fact, is the Director of Community Development has been inserted in lieu of the Health Officer as the administrator of this chapter, of this title. This is, we think, a change that makes sense, given that the Director of Community Development can certainly designate duties to the Health Officer who works for the Director. Secondly, we have changes to 5.18.110, which relates to new and remodeled food service establishments. This section has been amended to add requirements for the equipment, construction, and training in new and remodeled food service establishments. One of the major changes relates to grease trap and interceptor requirements. The amended code addresses the size and type of approved grease traps that are necessary based on the type of establishment being installed in the village. The other chapter that this title amends is Chapter 5.32, which is garbage and refuse disposal. As you know, we get our scavenger service through Waste Management through an exclusive franchise. One of the changes that we're recommending is that the definitions be updated in the chapter that tie more closely to our contract with Waste Management. Secondly, we have added detail relating to the specifications for landscape waste collection. The new code now provides more detail as to the types of receptacles and the manner of bundling that can be used for landscape waste, including tree limbs and brush branches. The amended code that's proposed defines open burning in a more clear way and prohibits that activity. And finally, the amended code removes the insurance requirements that are in the code because they are all set forth in the contract with the scavenger. I can answer any questions if you have any.
I have a question.
Sure.
Open burning, there's all kinds of different contraptions that you can buy at the hardware stores for like little, these big round flying saucer things with the expanded sheet metal sides and a lid. Well, how would you describe them? I don't know. But they do not have a stack or chimney. So those would be prohibited?
According to this definition, and staff, we've talked about this, I'm not sure where, if you want to jump in here, but according to the definition, you can, hang on, let me get to that right spot here.
532030.
030.
While Attorney Furrow looks for it, I believe the intent, are you asking about a fire pit?
Well, no, not a fire pit, but I mean, sometimes it's nice to just, I know you're not supposed to burn branches and leaves, but if you could just have a little fire in the backyard through some means.
The open burning, I've got the section here. It's defined as the burning of materials wherein products of combustion are emitted directly into the air without passing through a stack or chimney from an enclosed chamber, and such activity is prohibited according to the new definition.
So none of those little self-contained thingies?
That would seem to be the case.
So that would rule out a fire pit?
Oh, yeah. No chimney.
Well, that's what I'm,
I don't think that's the intention.
That's not landscape.
For landscape
Yeah,
materials.
just for landscape.
It's
but
like
if-
burning of, yeah.
But like
exactly.
firewood, you're good.
Yes, this is the burning, the title of the section is burning of refuse and landscape waste, and that's it. The burning of refuse and burning of garbage and landscape waste.
Okay.
To do that, you have to have a certain type of chamber.
I just jumped from landscape waste to firewood because.
Where's the ruling, though, if I,
Please.
where's the ruling on, like, using branches, kindling?
Generally, this regulation generally applies to leaves. It's a very, one, heavily smoke situation. Two, leaves tend to send off a lot of embers. So in that instance, if you're burning leaves, it needs to be in a confined space. And if you're burning firewood, if you're burning twigs and twigs, there you go. There, I'm trying, yeah, I kept on getting tongue-tied there, so sorry about that.
That's why he's the AVM.
Yes. If you're burning those, they burn much cleaner. And if they're in a factory or a controlled situation such as a fire pit or a firebox, those are acceptable.
I just seems
Chief
like you should
McGreal.
do that.
You want me to chime in?
Yes, please.
President Horker, you're looking at the definition of seasoned firewood. Seasoned firewood, you can still use a fire pit. There are restrictions as far as distances to structures, and
There's still too much
oversight,
farm in me,
basically.
and I see, landscape waste becomes firewood real fast.
Right.
Never mind, my mistake.
We've always banned burning
Any
of
legitimate
leaves, or for some time, we've banned the burning of leaves and things like that, though, right?
Oh, yeah. So I've wasted enough time.
Well,
Trustee
there's if you move down in the definition, it states that open burning does not include the following: recreational fires, or use of barbecue grills, chimneys, fire pits, and outdoor and portable outdoor fireplaces. We've got that covered specifically.
Thank you. Trustee Papantos, you had something?
Okay, this isn't on the landscape requirement, this is more on the waste collection. It indicates that everybody has to have a garbage pickup at least once a week. What do we do for vacant buildings? Is that excluded from that?
Operationally, how do we handle vacant buildings?
So anybody, just like you can suspend your service, you can call Waste Management and suspend it for if you're going to be on vacation or if there's going to be a short identifiable period of time where you wouldn't need collection. For an extended period of time, somebody owns a facility and they are required to have an active account with Waste Management.
So even the building, like we just gave a 6B to a building that been vacant for 12 months, or I believe it was 12 months.
Correct.
They are required to have?
Correct, yes.
Just curious.
Trustee Rufato.
Just a general question, the landscape waste and the collection receptacles, is that driven by Waste Management, our scavenger company, or do we drive that to them? I mean, because if they come and say, well, we don't want these bundles 4 feet long, we only want them 2 feet long, we then have to go back in here and change this? What comes first here?
It's driven by our contract with Waste Management.
Okay.
Yeah, that defines just about everything related to garbage pickup, commercial and residential.
So that has to be in our ordinance? Wouldn't that be in our?
It's in the contract, and it's reinforced in the ordinance.
Okay.
I mean,
It seems redundant.
But if people are looking for it, they're going to find the ordinance more easily.
Oh, that's true.
Contract.
Yeah.
The ordinance is online.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Good point. Thank you.
Sure.
All set? Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13G, discussion regarding major site plan and appearance concept review for 775 West Dundee Road redevelopment.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. As this is a concept review, the Village of Wheeling has created a process that we use for each of these. So I'm going to review some of the formality just so that it's in record and so that you know that each of these are treated the same way each time. I'll read a brief introduction. I will then hand it over to Director Clicker, who will provide a project overview. It will then go to the petitioner to present their project, and then back to staff to answer any other questions or make any other zoning, special use, or site plan concerns. At the end of the board's question and answer period, the board will be asked a single question, and that question is the board in favor of the major site plan and appearance concept for 775 West Dundee Road? With that, I will read. The current request is for a non-binding approval of the proposed major site plan redevelopment. Feedback by the board will be used by the development team as a guide in the preparation of the formal development plan. The outcome of this evening shall not constitute a formal approval or denial of the application. The decision by the board tonight is non-binding and shall not prevent the applicant from moving forward with a formal application. Mr. Clicker.
Yes, the applicant and property owner, Majid Ltd., proposes to redevelop the subject property by constructing a new 2-unit strip center that would consist of a fuel station or a gas station with and a convenience or another retail space, which they have indicated would be for a restaurant/gaming cafe. The new gas station would consist of 6 fuel pumps, 12 fueling stations, a 2,167 square foot convenience store, and a 1,129 square foot restaurant space. Both commercial spaces will have separate entrances as well as separate washroom facilities, and the zoning code requires that any new construction of a principal structure shall have a concept review before the village board before being reviewed by the Plan Commission. There are issues with this site development that we would have to also require variations for, mainly parking and building setbacks, and those would be addressed as we go through the Plan Commission if this concept review is advanced forward. With that, the petitioner is here to explain more about their proposal.
Yes. Good evening, Village President Horker, Council and staff. My name is Attorney Wendy Morgan, and I have Attorney Tom Burney here as well. Oh, you're sorry. Okay. And we're here, we represent Majid Limited, and that's Irfan Moten and Cameron Moten, in connection with their plan to redevelop the gasoline station at Elmhurst Road and Dundee Road, as you heard. They seek to invest approximately $1 million to modernize the fuel station and construct a companion small strip center containing a separated C-store and separated small restaurant with alcohol and video gaming. The proposed improvement represents a significant improvement to the property and a distinct improvement to the neighborhood it's located in. The property, the site is smaller than the typical lot in the commercial zoning district. The current ownership has been operating this gas station at this location for approximately 20 years. My client proposes to install a sound barrier fence along the northern property line to benefit the adjoining neighborhood. We've attached a site plan and rendering elevation of the structures which demonstrate the exceptional quality of the improvement being proposed, and we have the architect here who can also discuss the site plan. My client, by virtue of their gasoline station's proximity to the Lake County line, faces continued financial challenges. They are convinced that the small strip commercial shopping center will assist them in maintaining a commercially viable tax-generating use to the village. And with that, I'd like to introduce the owners, Irfan Moten and Cameron Moten, and they are going to tell you a little bit more about this, this new development.
Good afternoon. So basically, we've been in the neighborhood for 20 years. We want to definitely give the site an uplift. Just us being in the gas station business, being close to Lake County, we have to look at basically all aspects of revenue. How we can make it work financially for us. And the gas station itself is outdated. It is old. It does need basically an upgrade. And as you notice, the new gas stations compared to the old gas stations, before it was just, you can sell Coke and chips and kind of get away. Gas stations now are a lot more modern and require a lot more, basically additional revenue sources to make it look nice and profitable. We do expect, obviously, with this bigger building, an increase in property taxes. So that's why we want to look at all aspects of revenue.
Before we sell a lot of cigarettes and a lot of tobacco products, whatnot, being so close to Lake County, we don't get that tobacco revenue anymore either. I think that's been a little bit over 10 years now. We've been there since I think 99, right, or 2000. So we've been very good residents of Wheeling, and we're looking ways to head into the future now.
Okay. Questions from the board? Trustee Papantos? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Hemal Purohit from Purohit Architects. I'm a licensed architect in the state of Illinois, and I'm here to represent our client. Briefly, I would like to say what we're about to propose here is approximately 3,300 square feet of new one-story building that would have two separate entities as a tenant. One would be the convenience store and the other would be restaurant. And both entities would have their own restrooms and utilities and exit and entrances. And as you can see from the rendering or the colored three-dimensional view, that this new proposed building would consist of the very contemporary-looking materials such as glass, wood-looking fiberboard siding, split face and regular face concrete block with a masonry. What we are trying to do here is not only bringing the new brand of the gas fuel station, but also we are trying to bring another tenant in the form of restaurant, and that way we are trying to increase the volume or incoming traffic so that there might be an additional source for revenue. And as I said, there are going to be 6 new fuel stations with overall development of the entire site. At the same time, since this site is at the intersection of the IDOT street, we are planning to keep the existing curb cuts, so the existing entry and exit points to the site as is, so that there will be less, we'll have to deal less with the Department of Transportation. With that, I think I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, Trustee Papantos, you had a question?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for trying to modernize and definitely for staying in Wheeling and for being in Wheeling for over 20 years. I have a couple questions. You talk about a sound barrier fence along the northern property line. Wouldn't that be Dundee Road? I pretty much thought so. I was wondering how you were going to handle that. It's a great concept. I know the site. We probably all drive by it on a regular basis, but I just can't see this size of a building and the gas pumps, and I think it's 3 curb cuts into the property in that small of a space. It's, conceptually, I'm looking from above and I'm like, I don't know where the cars are going to go, park. I mean, other than at the gas pump, that's going to be about it for you. I am very concerned about getting that much into that size of a lot.
We believe when we design the site plan or proposed site plan, we believe we have been in compliance with all the requirements for the parking space dimensions as well as the drive aisle dimensions. So I believe we meet the zoning code requirements when it comes to parking and the circulations of the automobile throughout the site. as well as we are also, as we said before, we are reconfiguring the location of the fuel pump. Right now, the way they have been situated on the site, as well as the building itself, it makes it a little bit kind of clumsy and right in the middle of the site, the building itself. And that kind of makes the southern part of the site, which is pretty open right now. So by putting this new proposed building towards the southern boundary of the site, actually we believe we are making it more visible. At the same time, the overall parking and the circulation would not pose any safety, in our opinion.
Would the new building be approximately the same size as the current building that one would go into, or is it larger?
It will be larger.
That's where my concern is coming in, of the amount of space, but thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang?
So your illustration has 9 pumps, but you confirmed that there's 6 stations. Okay. I know that property is a little deeper, like you're saying, and if that's condensed, the pump area, the building probably will fit. I'm just having a real struggle right now with the addition of liquor and gaming as one of the uses. We've had requests before in the community for that, and it just is a struggle right now. I'm not quite there yet. Gaming, we are very strong with gaming in this community, as well as most of the suburbs around here are now. It's difficult to approve new ones. The intent of gaming at one time was to help existing businesses, and we've really gotten way away from that. In your case, your existing business, I would say you tend to qualify more than a standalone cafe at that point. But I'm still struggling with the liquor aspect of at a gas station, let alone 50 feet away, there's a liquor store from that location. That's just my struggles right now with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Rufato?
And so your comment about, being close to Lake Cook Road, in the last year or so, we've had 2 gas stations open, one kitty corner from you that was updated, a 7-Eleven that's beautiful, that doesn't seem to be struggling. And then we just opened up a gas station on Milwaukee Avenue, and that's relatively close to, Lake County also. And I have a problem with we're going to have a variation. You're going to have gaming there, and I'm at a max on the gaming in our town, and that's all this is. And you're going to have that parking there, so I'm struggling with that also. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Do you have any other comments or so? Trustee Vogel?
Quick question. In your rendering, you show Rosati's. Is that your intent?
Yeah, so basically we did speak to, we are trying to partner with the Rosati's so we have a good dialogue with them, and they are one of the major players that are willing to come in.
I mean, you need a franchise.
Correct. So I've been basically speaking with the franchise owner of Rosati's.
Okay. All right, I too have a problem with, we've got not only the liquor store right behind you, but there's a liquor store across the street, and the Polish Deli has a liquor store, and I know it's rather unique. PS Pub has got gaming, down the street's gaming. I have a problem with the concentration of the liquor on the gaming cafes, and more gaming. I think we have enough right now, so that's all.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. Trustee Vito?
Yeah, I saw the Rosati's thing, and I thought you just picked a name. You really going to do a pizza place and the video gaming and the gas station? I can't see you getting ovens in there and stuff. I mean, if you could do it.
The new concept with the Rosati's sister franchise is called Papa Sarajevo's. I believe that's the name. And their concept is a lot more, basically the newer concept is not as heavy with equipment as it was back in the day.
So you're just warming the pizzas more or less?
They're actually being made over there, but the size of the kitchen, which was required back, 5 years ago, is a lot less now, because of the equipment that's being put in now.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the concept. I mean, it might be tight, but I mean, you got to make that work. But I don't have an issue with the concept. I mean, we got gaming everywhere. We can't be half pregnant with it. It's just.
Yeah, so basically, for us, because for a gas station, we want to see what can bring in basically, foot traffic. And just being kind of, these gas stations have its own traffic, then pizza kind of being its own entity, bring its own traffic. So it's going to see what can bring basically more traffic to the lot.
Yeah, and I think my issue with the Rosati's thing is we've been kind of duped before by people coming in with grand concepts of restaurants that they're going to do with gaming, and then it's just a gaming cafe. And I don't care. If you're going to be a gaming cafe, be a gaming cafe, and just tell us that. If you're going to be a pizza place, be a pizza place. If you really think you're going to be both, I've been duped before on this.
No.
But if you are going to be both, that'd be totally cool. I'm not going to believe it till I see it.
No, our game plan is basically what we're showing. We've worked on a project, and our latest project was on Niles, which was kind of pre-COVID. And I think Ross was on board when we were on there. We did everything as promised.
Okay.
We did above and beyond what we promised. So we don't want to stick $1 million+ in there to have just a hole. It's going to look ugly as a gas station, just to have a hole there, basically.
Yeah.
We're not going to put up this building, pay, probably we're estimating $30,000 more in property taxes, just to have a hole there, just to stick, machines in. That's going to offset. The numbers won't work. So this concept basically is for this idea to make it work the way it is.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. Questions all answered? Brings us to Mr. Clicker. Zoning, special use, and site plan concerns?
There will be a need for variations for the building as it's currently laid out. The parking is also, the convenience store and gas definitely has adequate parking, but when you do add in that extra restaurant issue, we are struggling with the parking issue as well. There will also need to be some variations for parking if this plan goes forward as proposed.
What are some variations?
The setbacks of the building need to, because of the proximity to the residential, and that they are going to be requesting some significant variations.
I was curious more about the parking. What are the actual numbers? Any idea? Or roughly?
We haven't run the full numbers on it again because we don't know exactly how the restaurant is laid out or would be laid out. They've indicated a 30-seat restaurant, and if you go by our code, that would be an extensive amount of parking for the restaurant alone. We're probably looking at a deficiency of anywhere between 15 to 20 parking spots. Again, we haven't run the final numbers on that. We do need to work with the petitioner on how they will. Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Clicker. Any other questions from the board before I surrender this back to Mr. Spondilis? Silence, crickets. You need to say something, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have been, as an architecture company, we have been in business since 2008 in state, and we work for a lot of national franchisor, especially Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. What we have seen post-COVID is there is a significant shift in the customer's attitude. And what I mean is the Dunkin' sales have been increasing significantly for the drive-through and app-based orders. That includes bakery items as well as coffee, same with Starbucks. And what they have done as the corporations recently, and that is impacting places like pizza also, to be honest with you. So what Dunkin' and Starbucks have done recently in last 1.5 years is they have come up with a Dunkin' Go concept, which is only drive-through concept. Starbucks has come up with a similar concept. The Papa John's is coming up with a similar concept. So my my observation as a professional is there is a significant shift in the society level where customers are just picking up food, going home or going somewhere, friend's place and eating there. So if you really go to any of the dining, QSR or casual dining restaurants in Wheeling or in suburban, surrounding suburbs, you're going to see a significant amount of seats that are empty most of the time. So I would just like the board to consider that as well. When it comes to parking, that is the reason why we are seeing so many parking lots are being built with the outlots now. They are being subdivided into outlots. You can see along Dundee, along Gulf, parking lots are shrinking, and developers are the landlords of those big strip malls. They are developing small outlots because there is not as much parking as there or demand that used to be. So it's just my 2 cents.
Understood, but you don't have a drive-through.
No, this does not have a drive-through, but my point is, people would just come in,
Run in, grab it, and go.
wait 2 minutes, pick the pizza, and then leave.
Just a comment on that.
Trustee Lang.
That concept is great, but the gaming part of that sort of is counter to that because that's someone or several people or so going into an establishment and staying there. But the pick-up, take and go is a perfect concept for your gas station, if that can be expanded or if you have if that's the only use of it. But the gaming just seems to be counter to that because you're actually parking and staying, and some people stay quite a bit at the gaming cafes and so on. So just a thought.
Well, we could obviously work with parking, we could work something out, whatever. I think we have 14 spots right now, or we have, with this design, we have 14. So our initial plan was 9 fuel dispensers, but then we're like, let's cut it down because it might get congested. And then we added more parking spots, cutting it down to 6. So, willing to work, willing to, make amendments.
Thank you. I think it's time to ask the question, Mr. Spendelis.
Yes, the village board is being asked to provide non-binding feedback to the developer. The developer may choose to move forward regardless of the board's feedback. Is the board in favor of the major site plan and appearance concept for 775 West Dundee Road?
Clerk Brady, will you poll the board just?
Sure. Trustee Vogel?
No.
Trustee Papantos?
No, for the reason just there's too much on that small site. Come back with a smaller plan and I may be good for it.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
I'm a no as is with gaming and liquor, yes, if it is something other. So at this point, I'm going to say no.
Okay. Trustee Rufato?
No.
President Horker?
I'm a no.
Okay.
I like the rehab, but just not so much on the site.
Mayor, can we appreciate that you have this kind of a process so that they haven't spent all the money on the fees and presentation to your plan commission and coming back here, but, and Trustee Lang, he sort of sorted it out. We understand there's 3 different uses. So, I assume that nobody has a problem with rehabbing, restoring this gasoline station, putting that kind of money in.
Kind of like the last thing I said, yeah.
Pardon me?
Kind of what I said.
Yeah. But I wanted to sort out, is there a sense that if the gaming was eliminated and we had the restaurant with the liquor, that might receive a more favorable impression here, sort of following along with Trustee Lang said?
Mr. Frola, are we allowed to? Is this my choice, or is this?
I think the question can be asked, if the board's comfortable, board members are comfortable answering, they can. It's non-binding.
Right.
So it's really just sort of direction at this point. And there's really no prohibition to any of the board members changing their minds or conditioning things further as this goes down to the Plan Commission and comes back. So if a board member's comfortable answering the question.
So further
I think-
direction might be beneficial?
Yes, correct. Yes, sir.
So,
Can I throw something in there then, please?
let's start with you.
Can the liquor at a gas station is a way new concept for us. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And I think it's something that perhaps could use a study of some type as to what neighboring communities do and what effects it'll have, if any. So as an open, can we look at that and at that and discuss it with legal and police and everyone else who has to get involved with it and see what the effects of it would be?
Sure.
And then that's a start.
Yes, sir, thank you.
So back to the matter that Bernie asked. What variation of this would you feel comfortable with? Is that a fair question?
Well, Mr. Bernie asked about whether or not a restaurant with liquor would be something a board
Along
member,
with the gas station.
board member would be in favor of. I think that was the specific question. Because some,
So eliminating the gaming, basically.
eliminating the gaming, but a restaurant with some liquor service on a gas station site, although this is a different business than the gas station. That, I think that's the direction Tom was looking for.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lang, how do you feel about that? Trustee Lang?
Yes, I'm fine as long as we do some sort of study on the liquor and gas station mix.
Association. Trustee Vito, you were okay with this from the beginning?
Yes.
So you're okay with like some modification of it?
Yep.
Trustee Rufato?
No, the parking is still going to be an issue. People are going to be still there. And then in addition, this is a question, they set up a restaurant with liquor, they can come back and ask for a gaming. Would that have to come before the village board okay, because.
Well, it would go before the Liquor Control Commission first.
Right.
And it would be subject to the village board creating another license.
Right.
Another gaming license, so you have complete control of that.
It's incumbent on us to be consistent.
Right, and but still, they would come back again.
Yes.
And I still have a problem with the size of it, and there's always that, they're gonna come back again. And if it was just a pizza with no liquor, that you just come and pick something up and leave, not being a sit-down restaurant, I would be fine with that. That's another variation here, but that's not what they're looking for. They want to sit down, then to take it to the next step, and I just don't think that's appropriate for that site.
Thank you, Mr. Rufato. Trustee Rufato. Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. I'm looking at this, from the 30,000-foot level, and it's still the size of the building. I don't care if you have a pour license. We don't have any pour licenses at this point at gas stations. I know other communities do sell packaged liquor at gas stations. I personally, and it's just me, don't have a problem with that. It's against our code. The reason I don't have a problem is I'm pretty sure if somebody wants to drink and drive, it doesn't matter if they buy their alcohol from a liquor store or a gas station. They're going to be stupid. They're going to be stupid. I am just very concerned about the size of your structures and the amount of variations that if we say go for it, by the time you draw your plans, we're going to see a ton of variations coming through us. Most importantly, we're talking setbacks with, an established neighborhood that's been, those homes have been there since the mid-50s. As well as a lot of truck traffic to go in to fill the tanks, which you have right now. No place for those to turn around, servicing a convenience store or anything else. So I'm still a no unless you come down in size. Thank you.
So can I just ask, I just want to ask a question. So when you talk about coming down in size, what would make you comfortable to eliminate?
Now you're getting, as far as the amount of, how much space are you going to take out with this convenience store so that, will there be a turnaround, truck traffic coming in, cars coming in and out to the gas station? So enough so that we would not have a huge variance. I know we're going to have a setback issue no matter what.
And no, I would say, Council, those are the kinds of details that are going to have to be run through the Plan Commission. Plan Commission will have to make recommendations that will come back to the board. So to get down to the real level, that kind of detail is not what tonight's about. You're hearing it's too big, you'd have to work on a plan to make it smaller that you think would work.
That's fine, I was just trying to get an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. I'd like to hit Trustee Vogel first.
That's fine, yep.
Thank you. Trustee Vogel?
Again, I think the parking variation, the size and the proximity of other liquor and gaming cafes, I don't like the concept at all.
Brevity. Thank you, Mr. Vogel. Trustee Rufato, you had something to add?
Yeah, and I'm still a no, but we also have the additional, you've got a pizza place. Does that mean you're going to have delivery people also that you can call there and somebody can pick, hey, I want this delivered? We don't have that service. So it's overall just not a good concept that I would accept. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I still have concerns about it. I'm still a no as well. So you still have
3-3.
You're still struggling there.
You call it an uphill battle, wouldn't you?
I would. It's not impossible, though.
Well, we do appreciate your time, and I know you're doing your best to support small businesses.
Yeah, can you, we have a clerk who's going to be listening to this trying to type.
We appreciate your time, and we know you're doing what you believe is right in connection with also balancing, supporting small businesses in your community. And we're sorry we could find a plan that met with at least your preliminary acceptance. So thank you.
Thank you for taking part in the process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to official communications. Over the weekend, we lost we're losing a lot of these local icons. Bob Chin passed at 99. Say he's had a pretty good run, considering all the fried food. And I understand, like right up to the end, he was having his own food delivered to his house and enjoying it. Was he the second? Nobody's here long enough to know the answer to this. He was either the second or third, you might be here long enough, restaurant to try it there. Third. And,
But the first was there a long time, too.
Hartman House?
Yeah.
Hartman House, yeah.
okay, so you always remember. He was, he did an amazing thing with that spot. He was another institution that put Wheeling on the map, and I'm grateful that he chose Wheeling to set up shop, and I hope everything is sorted out and its legacy continues for a long time to come. He's one of a kind, Mr. Chin.
President Horker, was that a polite way of referring to me as old, that I could remember that far?
Well, you'll recall just a few moments ago, I said I don't think anybody else on the board is old enough to remember this, so that I still can think I'm old.
I dined at Hartman House when I was a kid. So.
No, it was a shame to see that he died. But 99, that's a good solid run. Anyone else?
Just a comment.
Trustee
We
Rufato?
happened to get this magazine today, and one of the things here was lead service line replacement and the acts that they're putting into place in the village, in the state. And boy, we're just so far ahead of this. And thank you to the staff and everyone doing that, because they now see the concerns that are going on throughout the villages in towns and cities, and we're way ahead of it, and that's great.
I do I'm periodically approached by people, and they comment about, God, there's so much going on in Wheeling, there's so much being, built, and I'll periodically hear comments about how, Wheeling is a place that other towns are trying to emulate. And I make it a point of pointing out to these people that it's not just, sorry guys, it's not just the elected officials, because elected officials have, and I'm one of them, have this tendency towards, looking at the next big shiny object and wanting that, or forgetting like the game plan. And I do make it a point of complimenting our staff for being able to wrangle 7 individual elected officials and keep us focused, and seeing to, staff seeing to the day-to-day stuff that gets us to a One Milwaukee Place, gets us to a town center, gets us to, the wonderful things that are occurring here in town now. So publicly thank all of you for all the work you do in keeping us informed and in line. Anything else? Trustee Papantos?
I just wanted to officially congratulate Deputy Clerk Karen Henneberry. She was awarded a scholarship from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks Foundation, and she will be using that for continued education for the Master Municipal Clerk Institute. And I mean, it shows the quality of people that work for the Village of Wheeling, and she's great, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. I'm going to linger. I'm speaking more than I normally do in a month. I had the unfortunate privilege of saying goodbye to Scott Laverde earlier this evening. A wonderful police officer who truly does care about the community. He'll be retiring, Chief, and he didn't want to make a big show of it, which is exactly like you would expect of him. So who will be taking his place, and how long was he here?
Yeah, we'll miss Scott. He, everybody in the community might not know his name, but they would recognize him. And he's off for a deserved retirement in Florida with his family. Phil Kim will be the new crime prevention officer. Phil's been training with Scott for a few weeks now, and it'll continue for another couple weeks. And hopefully we won't miss a beat. And Phil is very engaging, personable, and we're proud of him, and he'll represent us in an exemplary manner.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Now maybe. That brings us to, there's no other business to talk about, no other people to talk about. We do, however, have to approve the bills for March 31st through April 13th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Give the motion to Trustee Rufato, second to Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Worker?
Yes, we have no executive session tonight, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Trustee Rufato, second.
Second.
Trustee Vito, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.